Hi guys, in this tutorial I'll be teaching us how to cut and sew a perfect collar for your shirts, your tops and your dresses. And most importantly, I'll be showing us how to take the accurate measurement in drafting this collar. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my basic dress patterns here. Okay, and I'll be telling us the measurements I used. Okay, so you're going to start with the back pattern first, your basic dress pattern. So I did 3 by 1 inch. So this is the back, so the neck depth is 1 inch and the width is 3 inch. Okay, for some people they can do 2.5, but 3.5 is actually much. Okay, so when you open up the pattern, this is what you're going to be having here. This is the back pattern. So the back pattern should be on fold because it's a shirt dress. Okay, and for the front pattern, it's very easy. You'll be using the back to cut out the front. Okay, so the only difference between the front and back is the neck depth, 1, and you'll be leaving about 3 inches allowance for your button and folding and all of that. So you can see I've placed the back on the front pattern, so the difference now is the 3 inches. Okay, so from here to here is 3 inches. Okay, so to create the button allowance, you're going to fold 1 inch the first time and fold a second time. So after folding twice, you have 1 inch away from the center back. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. So this 1 inch is for your button. Okay, that is for making a shirt dress. This collar is for a shirt dress. Okay, and then the neckline for the front. Difference is in the neck depth. So I did 3.5 inch for the neck depth. Okay, but the neck width is the same thing. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so for the back, basically I just marked cutter of my bust plus ease on the chest line. On the waistline, cutter of waist. You add the allowance for the darts, but you're not going to be sewing the darts. That allowance will just be for ease, and then on the hip line, cut out the hip. Just your basic dress pattern anyway. But our main focus is the collar. Now to draw the collar, you're going to be marking the neck width, the back neck width. So from the back, the center backbone here, you're going to mark towards the nape of the neck. Okay, so you can see that for this particular dress form, 2.5 is just fine. Okay, but for on the average it's between 2.5 and 3. Yeah, if you're doing 3.5, the person must be a plus size because the collar must sit around the neck. The neck depth for back is 1 inch. Yeah, then for the front, you're going to measure the neck depth. Okay, it should just go below the neckline. Okay, exactly below the neckline. So I did 3.5. Some people can do as much as 3, 4, but definitely not 5. It's a shirt, come on. Okay, so these are my patterns. Now the first step is to measure the width of the neckline. Now I'll be starting with the back. Okay, so for the back, I will measure the width of my back neckline. Okay, so this is about 3 1/4. Okay, so we're not going to have the same measurement, so you have to measure yours. Okay, so that's 3 1/4. Now we're going to measure the front neckline. Now to measure the front, you are going to measure the neckline including the button allowance together. So you can see that I've already folded the front, the button allowance. So this is 1 inch. Okay, so you're gonna measure like this. Place your tape around the curve like this. Okay, so I have about 5 3/4. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it has to be accurate so that you don't have a shortage or an excess. Okay, so that's about 5 3/4. So we're going to be needing these 2 values to create our collar. Now for the collar we are learning in this class, it's going to have a collar stand and the main collar itself. So I'll be adding these 2 values together, the front and back neck width. So that should give me 9. So I have my pattern paper here. Now we want to draft the collar. Okay, it's very simple, very simple. Now you're going to draw a straight line. Okay, and your paper is on fold, don't forget. Now next thing is to determine the height of the collar stand. Okay, so for this type of collar, 1 inch is fine for the height of the collar stand. So I'm just going to mark 1 inch downwards and 1 inch here too, and I'm going to draw another parallel line. Okay, another line parallel to the first line I drew. Okay, now the total circumference of the neckline has to be the front neck width plus the back neck width. So that's about 9 inches from what I calculated. Okay, so I'm going to mark 9. How did I get 9? 5 3/4 plus 3 1/4. That gave me 9. So yours can be 9.5. Just make sure you calculate yours. Now you're going to square up like so. Okay, now the collar, or let me say the neckline or your neck, is not a rectangle. It's curved. Okay, and we know that the center back is on fold. So the first thing we're going to do right now is we're going to mark the width of the back neckline. That is where the curve of the collar is going to start from. So the width of my back neckline is 3 1/4. So I'll mark 3 1/4 there. Okay, on both sides of the line. So from here to here is my back neckline. From here to here is the front neckline. I hope that's clear. Now I'll be marking 1/2 inch, okay, at the top here and at the bottom there. Then I'll link this to the lines I drew, the point I marked at the middle of the collar rather. Okay, so here. All right, so at the end of the day, the width of my collar is still 1 inch, but it's now curved. Okay, so I'll draw my green lines that way. Okay, this is center back. Where you have the fold is the center back. Okay, so this is center back. Then you'll be adding 0.5 inch seam allowance to the top and bottom, and then you need 1/2 inch seam allowance to be able to turn the allowance. Okay, you're not folding the button allowance, but you're going to be folding the fabric in, so you just add 1/2 inch. Okay, now I'm going to cut out. So I'm cutting out, and then you should label your pattern so that you can tell which is on the top and the part that will lie on the neckline. Okay, so like I said, this is the collar stand. This is what is going to be carrying the collar. Okay, so I'm just cutting out. Now when you're transferring this to your fabric, you'll be cutting 2 of this. Okay, one as fabric, one as lining, and it has to be cut on bias, which I will show us later. Now to cut the main collar, I'm going to place the collar stand on my pattern paper and then just pin it down with my tailor's pin. Then I'm going to trace the top part of my collar. Now, of my collar stand rather. Now the collar must stop 1 inch before the end of the collar stand, at least 1 inch. It can be 2 inches, but at least basic collar stand should be 1 inch. Okay, so I've marked 1 inch there because that is the button allowance. Your collar shouldn't get into the button allowance. That's the reason for marking 1 inch. I'll just trace like so. Then next thing is to determine the height of the collar. So you can do as low as 2 inch, as much as 3 inch for the height. So I'm just going to do 2.5 or 3 inch, depends. So I just mark 2 inch this way. And mind you, it's not straight, so you have to mark that 2.5 inch at different points. Okay, so now I'm going to join with my pencil first. Okay, so that the marker doesn't create too many paintings. Okay, until I've done my final pattern. So I'm just going to connect like so, and then I'm going to square up from the point where I said you should mark 1 inch away from the button allowance on the collar stand. I just hope this grammar is not much. Now I'm going to extend that top line. Okay, from that point I'm going to be marking 2 or 3 inches. Okay, so that's, you can see I'll mark 2 or 3 inches. Don't worry, I'm going to use my marker to highlight later. It's just that when you're constructing, pencil is your best bet, so that in case of any corrections and all that. So yeah, now I'm going to highlight with my marker like I said. Okay, so I think it's clearer now. Yeah, so that's it. It's very, very easy. Now I can take off the collar stand now and cut out my collar. Okay, so my green line, center back, unfold. I'm going to label with my pencil. This is center back. I'll be adding 0.5 inch top, bottom, and the angle there. This other side is unfold. Okay, so I'm going to cut out, and then next is to transfer it to my fabric. Okay, okay, so this is my collar and my collar stand. Okay, so you can see that the collar didn't get to the button allowance at the bottom part there. Yeah, so now your collar has to be cut on bias, because you need to create an accommodation for the collar to stretch around your neckline, around your neck rather. So you don't fold like this along the normal grain. No, you fold like in form of a triangle, like that. Then you're going to cut out the collar. You place it on the fold of the bias, and then you cut out 2 pieces. Same thing for the collar stand. So here, my collar and the collar stand, fabric and lining, and I added interfacing to the main fabric. It could be stay or paper stay. Now I'll go ahead and join my collar. Okay, so 1/2 inch this way, then 1/2 inch all the way down, and then 1/2 inch this way. So let me do that. All right, so I'm done joining the collar. So after ironing, this is what you should have, like this. You should iron it. Now you're going to notch, you fold into 2, and you're going to notch the center there. And the collar stand, you're also going to be notching the center there. Okay, so you're going to separate fabric and lining like so. Okay, so next thing, you're going to place the collar in between the fabric and lining of the collar stand. All right, so make sure you also notch the center point there. Now I'm going to place my collar on the collar stand, notch point to notch point like so, and then okay, then you're also going to be placing the lining on top. So don't forget, right side facing right side. And I'm going to place the lining of the collar stand like so, and then at this point you need to pin for proper alignment. So I want to pin the 3 pieces together at the center. Then at both ends, you should remember that the collar didn't get to the button allowance, so you're supposed to have, anyway, you're going to sew in 1/2 inch like that. Okay, then you're supposed to have an allowance there, so you just fold in the collar a bit and sew 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'll be showing us how I'll do that on the sewing machine. So here I'm going to start sewing from the middle, which is your best bet. Okay, and make sure you pin. Now let me start sewing, and then you should take off your pin as you're sewing so that you don't damage your machine needle. Okay, so I'm just going to sew like that. Then when I get to the end there, the end, you are going to just turn your collar. Okay, the collar stand rather. Now you're going to fold in the collar a bit inwards like that, so that you'll be able to sew the edge of the collar stand just 1/2 inch. And then we have to repeat the same process on the other side. Okay, so it's always better for you to start from the center to one end and vice versa. So I'll go ahead now to sew the other side of my collar, and then I'll fold in and also do that. And then you should iron every step of the way. That's what's going to give you a perfect, well sewn collar. Iron every step of the way. Once you're done, okay, you just flip over to the right side, and then you're going to need a sharp object to be able to push that out. I'm trying to secure my stitch well on this other side of the collar. Yeah, I think it didn't sew properly. Okay, so you just notch at those edges there. You notch, and then you pull out the collar like so. And then you're still going to need a sharp object to push out the edges of the collar stand. Okay, the lower part of the collar is called the collar stand, where you have the allowance for the button. So I'm just going to push this out, and then I'll go ahead and give this a very good press. Okay, so this is how to make the collar. This is the final outcome. I'll be showing us right now after I finish pressing it. So this is the final outcome. You can see how it looks like. So the remaining step is just to fix this to your dress, your top, you know, and this is how it's going to look like. I'm going to place it on my mannequin now for us to have a better view of what it looks like. Yeah, so here we go. So this is it, looking all nice and clean. It's a very simple tutorial. I would advise you to first of all watch it before you try it out, and let me know the outcome. Feel free to share this video, and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.